Hi, it's Sam from Tarot for Writing. Welcome back to the channel. And if you caught the end of yesterday's video, I told you today we were going to talk about the Queen of Pentacles, but of course that is not the next card in the suit of Pentacles. Instead, we're going to take a look at the Knight of Pentacles. Here he is. And this is part of the Drop 'em 78 Tarot Challenge, put together by Mindful Tarot. And the idea is to spend a little bit of time every day looking at the card, kind of going over the definition, zeroing in on a detail, and then talking a little bit about discovery. And in the discovery section, I share my thoughts and ideas with you on how I use a card like this to inspire my fiction writing. I'm a paranormal romance author, and I use tarot cards quite a bit to inspire my characters, my scenes, the story in general, and all the fun little details. So let's dive right in with a definition. This card is all about slow and steady wins the race. If you're familiar with the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck and the other knights in the various other suits, you know that this is the guy that kind of stands still with his horse. The other horses, the other knights, kind of have more of a charging ahead kind of energy. But he's the stable guy. So it speaks to me of slow, deliberate action, of making progress, of being responsible. And also, if you look at him, he is not looking at the coin in his hand, unlike the page that we looked at yesterday. Instead, he's looking ahead. So he's planning for the future, looking at the road ahead. He's very methodical. And if you look at him on his horse standing there, he's also very stable. So those are my thoughts on just the general meaning of the card. What caught my attention, and let me zoom you in a little bit here. What caught my attention were these leaves that you can see both on his helmet and on the head of his horse. And to me, these look like oak leaves. In the guidebooks that I studied this morning, it never really says what they are, but to me they look like oak. And there's a couple of thoughts I had. The first is that since both the rider, the knight, and the horse have them, and they both have them on or near the head, it makes me think that they are connected. Maybe this means that they're thinking and acting as one as they're making their way through the landscape. I also like the idea of oaks, and we have quite a few oaks around us here, and this is the time of the year when the acorns drop. And I always loved the idea that such a beautiful, majestic, big, strong, stable tree grows from a tiny little acorn. I actually have a few of them right here, and some of them are itty bitty tiny, and it's hard to believe that a big, huge, sturdy oak could grow from them. The other thing I thought about is something I read about not too long ago, that especially here, I'm in the Carolinas, and along the Carolina coast, they harvested oaks for shipbuilding back in the day. And they particularly chose oak, and chose oak from this region because it was strong enough to hold back cannonballs. Now talk about something strong and reliable. So you might see what else. What did I want to say here? Oh yes, so oaks take, especially compared to other trees like pine, they take a long time to grow and mature, but it's really worth the effort if you end up with something that you can build strong furniture from, that can provide shelter and shade in the tree itself, and ending up with something that's strong and stable. So I think it's perfect that the Knight of Pentacles has oak leaves on his helmet and put them on his horse as well. So much for the detail. Now let's move into the discovery phase of this challenge, and talk a little bit about how I would use the Knight of Pentacles in my fiction writing if I'm encountering him in a spread about a character, or in the spreads I use to develop my story or add more interest to a particular chapter. So the first thing that comes to mind when I look at this card is that I have a character who is a very stable and reliable person. Somebody the people around him can count on, or they can count on her. Maybe somebody who's a little bit vanilla, not the most exciting guy or girl in the story or woman, but maybe this is the one that's been there all along. Maybe this is the best friend who's always been there for the other person, who's been the shoulder to cry on, the constant in their chaotic life, and somebody they never really saw as anything more than a best friend until they do, of course. And that would make a really fun, exciting story, wouldn't it? The other thing, going back to this whole idea that the knight is not looking at the coin, but instead looking ahead, could give me an idea to have my characters a little further on in the story talk about their future. What do they imagine that looking like? And then I could pull from this image of these gentle rolling hills that we see in the background of the card, and have them sort of think that it's all sunshine and roses ahead of them, and it's going to be a smooth, easy path into this future that they're imagining. That's something we all tend to do, don't we? We have a new idea of buying a house, starting a new career, moving across the country, those kind of ideas. And we kind of see this really clear, straight path ahead of us. But then when we walk it, when we make those changes, it usually doesn't turn out that way. Life throws us a curveball or 10. But in the end, we often get there. It just wasn't as smooth of a ride as we imagine it to be. And that happens quite a bit in stories as well, because nothing is more boring than if the characters follow a predictable, smooth path. So in my case, they may be talking about this future ahead of them and how fun and easy it'll be, but they'll be in for a surprise. The other thing I can pull from this is the knight is wearing quite a bit of shining armor, isn't he? So what if I have a character who puts on metaphorical armor to protect their feelings, who doesn't want to open up? But then part of the story arc could be that they have to make themselves vulnerable. They have to open up to the other person, or either lose them or not really find true love to begin with. So that could be interesting. And again, going back to the knight not really looking at the coin, that gave me an idea this morning to have somebody who is overlooking the obvious, not seeing what's right in front of them. And this could be, a big overall thing. They're not seeing the person that's just perfect for them. Or it could be a minor little thing that then causes some conflict, causes some tension between the characters, and make for a little bit more interest in a particular chapter or scene that might otherwise fall a little flat for me. Or, I could go really literal and just go with the whole idea there's a horse in this cart and send my characters off on a horseback ride. Or if you're looking at the two trees in the background, they're pretty small. I hope you can see them here. I could have them go plant some trees. That would be a fun activity. Or looking at the beautiful yellow background, that got me thinking that maybe I'll have them go out on a drive into the country to watch a beautiful sunset. So there's a whole lot, if you are a creative, that you can pull from just one single tarot card. Of course, all of this multiplies when you pull out several different cards and create a whole spread. But there's really a lot to dig in here and a lot of symbolism to work with in these cards, both when you're working on a creative project or when you're trying to maybe think about something from a different perspective, tap into your intuition, tap into your subconscious. There's a lot to work with tarot cards, and especially when we get into the court cards like the Knight of Pentacles. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've gotten something out of this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't miss the other videos in this series. We're finishing up the suit of Pentacles and then moving on into the next suit. Like I said, I hope you enjoy it, and tomorrow we actually will look at the Queen of Pentacles. I'll share my thoughts with you. I'd love it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much.